Welcome back to the Christianity and Business Podcast, an initiative of the Archie W. Dunham College of Business at Houston Christian University. I'm your host, Darren Shear, and this is the show that helps Christian business leaders to integrate biblical values into business. And on this episode, we're joined by Shane Reeves. Shane is CEO of 12 Stone Health Partners, which is Nashville, Tennessee's regional leader in delivering pharmaceutical and medical equipment to post-acute patients. Founded in 2016, 12 Stone is the third iteration of pharmacy organizations founded by Shane and the Reeves family. Their mission is to honor God, care well for patients, develop their team, and generate profit. And Shane holds a doctorate of pharmacy from the University of Tennessee and also serves as a state senator representing the 14th District of Tennessee. Shane, welcome to the Christianity and Business Podcast.
Hey, brother, appreciate you having me on the show.
Yes, sir.
I listen to that bio. It reminds me how much I've got going on, but I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yes, you do have it going on, brother. Shane, when did you first realize God wanted to be involved in your work and business?
I've always been a person of faith. Over the course, I'm 55 years old today, and even as a pharmacist, and I'm a fourth generation independent pharmacist in Tennessee. So my family's been in pharmacy since 1900 in Middle Tennessee. So many different iterations of the company. But I sold a business. I sold a retail pharmacy business in 2015. And in 2016 was when I decided to form 12 Stone. It was literally January 2016. And Darren, it was the hardest year professionally I've ever had in my life. It really was, looking back on it. I mean, it was one of those seasons that everywhere I would go, people were like, "What is this crazy stone thing you're doing, Shane?" And it was a challenging year financially. It was a challenging year I had employees that had been with me for decades that had left. I had customer problems. I had technology problems. I mean, everything you can imagine. And it was a season of my life where every single week, I would come in and you're asking yourself, okay, what's going to happen this week? And I distinctly remember I had a lot of reflux. I wasn't sleeping well. I mean, God always gets my attention at 3:00 in the morning. My brain's just flying. I'm trying to solve everything. And I got about 4 or 5 months into that. And I had a dear friend and mentor come alongside me and say, Shane, don't miss this painful gift. Don't miss it. So in May of 2016, I remember distinctly, this guy and I had lunch, and he said, tomorrow morning, I want you to wake up and I want you to get yourself a brand new journal. I've never been much of a journaler, but get yourself a brand new journal. Get yourself a Bible that has a daily reading. And tomorrow morning, all I want you to do is to get up and I want you to write the date, which was May 1st, and then write day number 1. And then all I want you to do is to write one word. Well, during that season of my life, the words were sad or scared or, just confused. Occasionally the word was hopeful. And he said, as you progress, start writing more in the journal and spend some time with God. And this morning, which, we're like middle of December 2023, was day number 2,511. That morning practice really has changed my life. So I've always been a person of faith. The 12 Stone story is really after the 12 stones in the Bible of Joshua leading the people of Israel. But I'm just convinced, looking back on all that, until that period of time, God didn't have me. He got me then. He really got me and said, you got to make time for me. And since that period of time, I mean, clearly, I've had my share of issues. Anybody that's got business knows you're going to have ups and downs and all kinds of problems. But he got me, got my attention, and we've been blessed since then. So the company is very much about honoring God with our staff and with our customers and our employees and our patients and our referral sources and our messaging, how we do. And God has indeed blessed us.
Yeah. Well, that is such wisdom from your friend about starting with one word. I think journaling, I know for me is, I don't have a this sort of stream of consciousness writing style. I'm very methodical. I've got to just outline everything first, and so to just pour out my heart like that is really challenging to me. But I love that idea of just start with one word, and then as you get the one word, you continue to expand. And you're now on day
Five,
2,500
511. I mean, I've
511.
got like 11 journals I filled up at this point in time. You know, what's interesting is I've shared this with business people over the last few years. Some of the most successful people I know, and I'm talking about in ministry, in business, in politics, in education. The most successful people I know, they journal.
Mm.
They really do. They journal. They read and they journal. They find time for that morning, um, that morning time. I joke around, and I don't know where I heard this, but I kind of call it my three-headed dragon. If I can slay the head of three dragons before I go to work in the morning, it's going to be a good day. Number one is I need to slay the spiritual head by finding that quiet time. Number two, I want to slay the physical head, finding something to do, physical exercise, whatever it's going to be. And then number three, slaying the intellectual head. I listen to a number of podcasts that are, business podcasts, political podcasts, spiritual podcasts. So if I can slay the head of those three things between 5 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. when I go to work, I'm a better man. And I'm filled up, and it's so routinely that I'm able to pour into other people from those areas. But uh, that's a practice that's blessed me, and I think it's helped others as well.
I love that. So my understanding of when you sell a business is this is supposed to be a happy time. This is, you're getting a nice payday. You're going to go take a nice vacation. Like it sounds like maybe you did some of that, but what was it that made it such a dark time?
Well, there's a couple things going on. Number one, I did sell a business, but I still had three fairly young kids at home when that happened, and I needed to continue to work. I wanted my kids to see dad working. That was important to me. And I, I, I actually enjoy being a pharmacist. I mean, there's part of that, I don't want to, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to sit around and watch Wheel of Fortune all day long. That's never going to be me. And I'll tell you from the short window that I had off, the truth is, especially if you're kind of a hard driving, achieving kind of person, it doesn't take long till your Mondays feel like Thursdays and your Tuesdays feel like Saturdays and your Sundays feel like Wednesdays. I mean, it's this Groundhog Day going on. So you need to feel productive. And, I wanted to, I had when I sold my first business in 2015, again, I had another friend of mine who was a Christian said, Shane, if you start another business, it sure would be great if somebody walked through your business and you weren't even there, that they would know within 5 minutes of walking through your business that it had a Christian influence.
Hmm.
And if somebody could walk around my company, they don't really even know that faith's important to you, you need to fix that. So we've been very intentional about that. We have scriptures on the walls, and we have every Monday I send out a Monday's message. That's stuff going on within the company, but there's also a spiritual component to it. Um, Something else that I've done, and again, forgive me, Darren, I know I'm kind of going down some different trails with you here. When I started this company, I decided that I really wanted to have an opportunity to intentionally pour into a few people at a time. So I started a program called the Iron Team.
Hmm.
Proverbs, iron sharpens iron. And it's 12 sessions because we're 12 stones. And I meet with four people at a time for 12 sessions. And there's a professional development side, there's a spiritual side, there's a testing side. And I've done that now 10 times. I've graduated 10 people from the Iron Team program over the course since 2016. And at the end of the program, they get a sword. I give them a sword with their name engraved on it for graduating the Iron Team program. So we just had our Iron Team Christmas breakfast last week, and I probably had 35 people. Many who don't work for them anymore came back to that. So that's been a real blessing. But just, every company's going to stand for something.
Yeah.
Why not stand for God?
Yeah. And were these people all born again, fired up Christians when they came to work there?
Oh man, no, all over the place.
Yeah.
It's clearly. I mean, we're very overtly. people know that faith is an important part of us. I mean, you said it earlier. Our purpose statement is about honoring God, taking care of patients, really sick people in my business, developing a team of people, excellent team players, and generating profit. That's really who we are. So people that come to work for us, they're not confused. I mean, they know who they're coming to work for, but they're all along the continuum of faith. I mean, we have a full-time chaplain that I've hired that came work for us now. I felt it was important enough to have somebody internally who, for our staff and for our patients and customers, but they're all along the continuum. So the time they finish the Iron Team program, you know, I've moved the dial a little bit. Some is very reaffirming, and some have just opened their eyes to new ways of thinking about things. But that's been a real blessing.
Yeah. So with that program and you've shared some of your personal habits as a leader to stay Christ-centered in your life and your approach to business. What are some of the habits, or let's start with one habit that that you've really instilled across your company corporately to help the entire company reflect God's character? Like your friend said, you should be able to tell when you walk into a company within the first couple minutes that this is a company that is devoted to the Lord. What's one of the habits across the board that somebody might begin to observe as they come to work there?
We pray before every meeting. That's a simple thing. I'm not hitting people over the head with the Bible, but whether it's an all staff meeting, I mean, I have 350 employees now, by the way. So there's a lot of people working here. At least in my world, that's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And we're in 4 different states, so people are zooming in, they're calling in to be part of it. We pray before every meeting. Just every single time I do a new employee orientation. I mean, I have a process that I go through with every single new employee, and I share with them my faith and why it matters. And I tell them, you need to know what you're signing up for here. You know, this is who we are. This is what we believe. This is where we're going. And this impacts how we treat each other and how we treat our patients. I'm a big believer in being honest and being kind, because I think you can do both. You know, we don't have to necessarily always agree with each other, but life is too short to work with jerks. It
Yes.
just is. It's just too short to work with jerks. And if you're going to be a jerk, you find another job. You know, that's just not how we act around here. So we're very much about being honest and kind and excellent and gracious and loving each other and loving our patients. And as I said, across the whole continuum, there's a different level of faith commitment. But, you know, just praying a little bit with people. A simple prayer before meetings goes a long way. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a chaplain, but if you had access to a chaplain of somewhere, that if it was a smaller company, if somebody had a need, that goes a long way. I think to blessing people.
Yeah. How about in the operations of the company? Is there a particular story you could tell about when you really saw a big biblical value come to the surface in the way that you and your team handled a particular situation?
Sure. We were approached earlier this year. We were approached earlier this year with a fairly significant opportunity for our company to start providing medications to multiple states, to actually be the company that mixes the medications for I'm trying to think the right way to put it. It's you know, when somebody's capital murder or it's going to be death sentence, and it's to mix the medications that ultimately in the day
Like the lethal injection,
you
right?
got like life sentence. It's
Yeah,
lethal
yeah.
injections. And looked at it and it was a no brainer, man. We're not going to do that. That to me is just something that just does not make sense, regardless of where you are in life and regardless of how you feel about lethal injections. That just was not something that made a lot of sense for us.
That's crazy. It never occurred to me that a company would be the one knowingly manufacturing those types of drugs,
Sure.
and that they would have to do that with that on their conscience.
And it's been many, many years ago, really, that when early on when the company got called on, I mean, it never even got the surface around here. I got a call on it and I said, no, we're not doing that. So I don't know if that's a good example or not, but there there are opportunities, I guess, that come our way, and you really just have to ask yourself. And that's an example of one. I could probably give you more, but opportunities have come our way. You just really have got to ask yourself if that's who you want to be.
Mhm.
Is that really where you want to put your energy as an organization moving forward? Because I think that sends a message to your team that what's important to you. If you're turning down clear opportunities in the marketplace that can make you more money, be more successful, and again, I could give you more, that and you say no to it, it kind of sends a message. All right, well, we want to make money, but we want to make money in such a way that at least we're proud of what we're doing.
Yeah. Especially if your mission is to honor God, care well for patients. Uh, it's hard to look your team in the eye and say, this is truly our mission to care well for patients when your patients are going to die from what you're giving to them.
Yeah, well, that's right. And again, this is capital punishment.
Yeah,
The
right. That's a separate issue.
It is, and that's it's a very very small one, but at the time that made a difference. Made a difference in my life along the way.
Yeah, yeah. What's another? Could you tell a story of maybe a time when you saw God's hand at work in your company?
Sure, I think I gave you one a couple of minutes ago when uh, as far as when I was 2016 and things were so challenging,
Yeah.
and I went away in the fall of that year as I was trying to work through things and hire some new people. And I distinctly remember being at the beach in the fall of 2016, really praying for clarity. I said, Lord, we don't have to do this. I mean, I can go to work for Kroger. I can find something else to do out there. But really, really praying for clarity. And it was about that period of time that I had a friend that I've known for years, again, kind of come alongside me and said, have you ever thought about maybe trying to bring some private equity to try to help invest in the company, to help you, give you support? And the name of the company is Claritas. So the whole idea around clarity, but it was Claritas that came to the table. And I really felt like that was God saying, okay, I hear you. We're going to give you some clarity and some Claritas to really kind of give you a shot in the arm. And that was a real blessing for me at the time. You know, there have been so many cases as well, Darren, that I could give you individual situations. Uh, we had COVID. COVID was hard on everybody. I'm sure all your businesses. My business thrived through COVID because again, we're doing infusions for people in these infusion centers. And if you walk into one of our infusion centers, by the way, they feel like a spa, but there's scripture everywhere. There's a lot of faith component to it.
Hmm.
But COVID really, really accelerated that. But we also had situations through COVID that people were losing their moms and they were losing their dads. I had one individual who lost his young wife
Hmm.
and with his two children, and just the way our company rallied around him for a year and a half, 2 years to really help pull him back to a better place was a real blessing just to be there for each other. Again, I kind of come back to the whole concept of, it's life's too short to work with jerks. Take care of each other. It's silly not to.
Yeah. Wow. Great stories. So Shane, I'm wondering, as a state senator, what are some of the ways that you've that you really feel that you've been able to help the marketplace reflect God's character and God's justice and God's righteousness and just God's will for people?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I ran for Senate in 2017. It's kind of a long story, but I ran for Senate in 2017 and slipped up and accidentally won. So I got elected in March of 2018. So I've been a senator for a little over 5 years. I love the service component. I've met a lot of wonderful people. Um, the true political side, social media side of things is nasty, and I don't enjoy that. But I decided early on that every single person in Nashville, which is where I'm at primarily, you know, is going to put their faith in something. They just are. You've got some people that have got their faith in power. Some have got their faith in money. Some have got their faith in the family. Some got their faith in the Tennessee Titans. But they're going to get their faith, and their worldview is going to come from something. And so I decided to make it clear that I got my faith in God and Christ. That's where it comes from. That's what shapes my worldview. And so I decided to run for chaplain of the Senate and won. So that has given me the opportunity to pray in the Senate chambers. It's given me the opportunity to pray with individual senators and to kind of be an individual that, people know it's important to me. I will routinely tell young people that come to meet with me in the Senate and just ask overall about how I got to where I am. I will say, you can, if I could spend 1 month with you and really pay attention to where you spend your time, where you spend your mind, where you spend your money, and who are your key relationships with, I can tell what's important to you. I can get a sense of where you're getting your power and your faith from. I mean, it's not really hard to see. And at the end of the day, those things and the habits you build around supporting those things, that determines your future. Mm-hmm. It really does. I mean, nobody's going to control their future, but you can control your habits, where you spend your time, your mind, your money, your relationships, and that in turn will dictate your future.
Yes.
And so that's a mantra that I talk about real often. Legislatively, I'm a healthcare guy. I'm a healthcare background, so much of what I've done in Nashville is around addressing healthcare related issues. Tennessee has got a lot of work to do in healthcare. We're 47 out of 50 states in life expectancy. We're at the bottom in heart disease and diabetes and cancer and stroke. We're doing a lot of things very well in Tennessee financially, but we've got a lot of work to do in healthcare. So sometimes it's easy to talk about health, mental health, spiritual health, physical health, all intertwined. So of the 100+ bills I've passed since I've been in Nashville, I would say 2/3 of those are somewhere in the health space. I've passed a couple of bills that really have been very significant in our state around Alzheimer's. I've passed bills in our state to directly address our opiate problem in Tennessee, which is just claimed the life of so many people needlessly. I've passed bills in our state to address specifically around diabetes and around cancer and around obesity. So, like I said, everybody's going to put their faith in something. Yes. And I'm not doing this job forever. I mean, I've been doing it for 5 years and I enjoy it. I'm actually running again next year, but I'm not doing it forever. And at some point in time, I'm not going to be in the seat anymore. So I might as well leverage it while I'm there and try to make a difference with things I care about and make sure I'm making God proud of me with my decisions.
Yeah. Well, what a great opportunity to not only be a state senator, but to be the chaplain, to where, I mean, they expect you to talk about, I mean, if you're not talking about Jesus, you're not doing your job. Right. And you're not really taking time out to have those really deep conversations with the people that are looking to you for leadership, then you're not doing your job. And they expect you to, there's great organizations. It just makes me think about Marketplace Chaplains and Corporate Chaplains of America, and just the opportunity, if somebody is looking to pastor in the marketplace, certainly you can do that as a leader in a company, or just a coworker. I mean, your coworkers need pastoral care. Actually, spiritual gifts assessment that we put out found that encouragement was the highest rated, most consistently used gift And a lot of the pastoral care type gifts were at the very top. So those gifts are available among God's people in the marketplace. It's just a question of, will we have the boldness to step out and use it?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. When I speak to young people, I mentioned a minute ago about managing where they're managing their time, mind, money. But I also, when I routinely get a question, so I'll raise their hand and say, "Yeah, so Senator Reeves, what do you consider to be the single greatest trait of a leader?" Now, it's a pretty big question. Is it grit? Is it persistence? Is it hard work? My answer to that is they're self-aware.
Mm.
You're really truly self-aware. You know what your giftedness is. You've done the strength finders and the Myers-Briggs and the Colbys and the DISC. I mean, you really have decided, okay, this is what I'm good at, and this is where I can make a difference. And these are things I'm just incompetent at. and quit spending your time on things you're terrible at. But if you recognize, like you said, from a gifting perspective, if you've got some natural encouragement abilities, lean into that.
Mm.
If you're not a natural encourager, but maybe you're really analytical, well, just be a great accountant, and you can still use those things for God. But
Yeah.
becoming self-aware, digging into that, and just leveraging it for kingdom work, you can make a world of difference.
Yeah. That's a great point. I mean, a great biblical example of that is when Jesus is saying, you can't take the speck out of your brother's eye until you take the log out of your own eye. And I mean, that is in some ways what leadership is trying to help take the speck out of people's eyes that's hurting them, it's not allowing them to see correctly. But if you've got those blind spots in your own eye, then you're not going to be able to help anybody, right?
That's right. And I'll tell you, especially this day and time in today's modern workplace, humility is a superpower. Kindness is a superpower.
Mm.
Self-control and contentment, those are superpowers. And you find a way to take those 4 or 5 things and really let it be part of who you are, and be steady. People want to know what you're up to.
Yeah.
So those things are such a big deal, and genuine humility and kindness and contentment. That's just such a peaceful way to live.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I got plenty of ups and downs, brother. For your listeners, plenty of things going on. So it's not that everything's smooth all the time. But I think I've learned after my 55 years of life that, very seldom is everything you got going on the mountain top and everything's in the valley. You've always got one wheel on both tracks. You got some good things going on, some bad things going on at any given time. And it's your job just to react in an appropriate way to both of those.
Yes, quite right. 12stonehealth.com is the website. That's the number 12stonehealth.com, which of course refers back to Joshua and the Israelites. Anything else you want to say, Shane, about how people can hear more from you, get connected if they're in one of your areas that 12 Stone Health is serving?
Yeah, I'd be interested in being a resource to anyone out there in your audience that's a business owner that's trying to find their way and to be a little more kingdom minded. I mean, just calling my company 12 Stone, and I give stone. You take a tour of my business, I give you a stone, and like you said, it's forced people to say, "What is this stone doing?" It's like you said, it's a story of Joshua leading millions of people across the Jordan River, which was at flood stage miraculously. And what I routinely say is, we want to be the company that gets out of the deep part of the river. I mean, the deepest part of the river, and help the sickest of the sickest people in our 4 states with chronic, complex, and rare diseases make their own crossing to their own promised lands and find better places of peace and hope and happiness. So just the name itself has given me the opportunity to just share my faith a little bit. And there's lots of ways to do that and not be so much in your face. And so I would encourage people to think about that.
Yeah.
But Yeah, have them call me. I'd love to help in any way I can.
Okay. That's a great point about you don't have to be in their face, but if you can show the practical application of your faith and how it can benefit that person. I mean, who's not going to benefit from love and from service and kindness?
That's
I
right.
mean, all of those things are rooted in God. And so we need to be more proud of who our source is
That's right.
for those things that the culture really does value deep down. We don't know. It doesn't always look like it, but it's the truth.
Well,
Again, yeah, go ahead.
I say what's funny is, you talk about kindness and love and generosity and gratitude. If people are you've got a business owner out there and people are being critical of you for doing those things, I can promise you when they need it, they're all about you being kind to them,
Yes.
loving to them, and generous and thoughtful and understanding to them. So, use that muscle,
Yes.
lean into that muscle.
Yes.
You won't go wrong.
Absolutely. And to be able to minister to people in the deepest part of the water when they're sick and potentially dying. I mean, this is how the church grew. There's the rise of Christianity, but Rodney Stark, he talks a lot about this and the way that the pagans would during the plagues and the pandemics, they would leave the cities and go out to the country. And that's the priests, the doctors, everybody would just leave, but the Christians would stay. And the Christians, and that's one of the main factors from a sociological perspective of why the church grew. So yet another open door for you to connect with people for Christ.
Yeah. I love that. Jesus definitely knew the big picture, but he took the time to invest in individuals too. The woman at the well, Nicodemus, Zacchaeus, the leper. I mean, he made sure to do that. He loved all, but he really discipled a few. And he clearly had that figured out. We can learn a lot from him there.
Yes. And we've learned a lot from you today, Shane. Thank you for taking the time out for our listeners and sharing what God's been doing through 12 Stone Health and also in the Tennessee State Assembly. Really appreciate you sharing your time, and thank you for the example you're setting for us marketplace Christians out there.
Glad to do it, brother. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a blessed New Year.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if so, we would greatly appreciate it if you'd leave us a quick rating and review for the Christianity and Business podcast on iTunes. You can get more information about HCU's Center for Christianity and Business and sign up to receive free access to all issues of the Christian Business Review Journal by visiting our website at christianityandbusiness.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to keep integrating biblical values into your business.